Welcome you all, basketball degenerates, to another episode of the Pass First, Shoot Later podcast brought to you by the OC Basketball League. I'm your host, Zico Pepic, here with my co-hosts. There he is. There's one of them. There's Omar.
What's going on?
Omar, as usual, is doing something interesting. And yeah, I'll let him, before we let him explain it, Mike, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. I'm in my normal seat, doing the same thing as always. I got a little snack and something to drink. Waiting for Omar's antics.
You situated there, Omar?
You said what, Mike?
Just waiting on your aunt to see what you're doing. If you're driving in a car or operating heavy machinery, if you're today's cooking. We're cooking with Omar today.
Yeah, there's always got to do something. These weeknight podcasts, are not conducive to working people. You know what I'm saying? We got daily duties.
Yeah, it keeps me up late at night. So the next days are usually the ones that get me. Zico never sleeps. I don't know if everybody who listens knows that, but
yeah, Zico is an alien like Wimby. He doesn't sleep.
Omar, please tell me you're wearing pants. I don't want to do one of those Zoom podcasts.
You don't need to show us.
Yeah,
okay,
just
I got Nike shorts on.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I look like a kitchen towel.
Yeah,
I won't do that to you.
Oh man,
it's been a minute since we had a show. We took a week off. Thought we had something ready to go, but it's gonna be put off another weekish.
Yeah. So yes, we are working on an in-person podcast. There is some technical difficulties that I'm still trying to figure out. I think I'm getting to that point where I could say I'm old enough that like technology is messing with me a little bit, which is kind of weird because I used to be like in a band and play music and record stuff all the time. But for some godforsaken reason, recording a podcast is a little more difficult for me. So my apologies. I was hoping to have that ready this week. Need a few more days.
And we got to make sure that Omar is wearing pants for that too.
He's not coming to my house without them. He's not taking them off while he's here.
Come on, fellas. Come on now, Mike.
Hey, it's in Costa Mesa. No giddy.
No giddy, right? I know, right? But Mike, out of the three of us right now, you're probably the one that's been working the remote the most out of us. So I wouldn't be surprised if you pull some shit off like that.
Well, I always got shorts on. Got to be ready to play whenever these kids want to go play basketball. I got to be ready to go.
That makes sense.
So yeah, we did take some time off, and there's been a couple topics that we definitely wanted to talk about, and we'll mix this episode, I guess, a little bit into two. I definitely want to focus on Summer League more than anything. We didn't get to talk about it at all last time we had our podcast, and there's a lot going on with Team USA as well. So I think those are two topics of the day. But yeah, I have to ask, have either of you watched any of the Summer League?
I watched some highlights here and there, which obviously was heavily skewed towards, we'll call them highlights of Bronny, but did see clips here and there of some other teams. Some guys looked good. No one was trying to put together a Sarge highlight film because there wasn't any, but couple guys looked good. And we'll get into that, but no, I didn't see a full game beginning to end. I don't have live TV, and I'm not going out of my way to sit down at a bar for a summer league game.
And I didn't watch all of them. I did watch a few games here and there and some highlights. But definitely, we all know summer league is a little bit sloppy, so it's really hard to stay fully focused, engaged in the game. But there's certain players you want to keep an eye out on, and following their progress, but definitely did not watch it, that closely.
I did not watch entire games. Like, I didn't watch one single entire game. I think the most of a game I would watch was about a half. I had certain players I definitely wanted to see play. I didn't think this draft was going to have any superstars come out of it. I still don't think that we're going to see any superstars come out of this draft. I definitely think it was a little bit of a weaker draft. However, I do think that there's going to be some really good players in this draft that will definitely make a really good career for themselves in the league. And
let's not be too hasty to judge players off summer league.
right, but there's this eye test, which I've been pretty good with. Like I've been pretty good with the eye test in terms of watching the first. I do watch some college games. I will watch the summer league games, and then I'll watch some of the first games that these players will play in their NBA careers. And obviously, there's always room to grow. There's a lot of guys that are late bloomers, and they come along later on, which is entirely possible for some of them here. But there's going to be concerns that you see early on that usually are telling enough to see if a player is going to be capable. And sometimes it's hard to tell because, you know, a player coming from a different country, might not be able to adjust to the sleep schedule right away, and he's just thrown off, and it's a lot of overwhelming things at the start, and he's not doing as well in the summer league. It might be that, a player is coming off an injury and trying to play through it, but is not able to do well enough to compete. There's a lot of factors in there, but for the most part, I have a pretty good idea of who I think is going to be solid moving forward, and who could be a steal as well. So,
I mean, the one that everyone's pointing to, and obviously, again, it's most people are comparing everybody to Bronny and seeing where Bronny's at, and he's going to get a lot of media attention, which, good, bad, or indifferent, he's going to be the guy that they focus on. Somehow he is the leading candidate as far as gamblers for Rookie of the Year, because the odds are fantastic, but he's got the most.
Of course, the numbers guy's going to go ahead and say that.
I'm just saying that a lot of people are putting money on him because it's like 12,000 to 1 odds or something ridiculous. So he's got a lot of money moving, but
no, he's not Rookie of the Year.
They go back and they're showing compared to Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown had a terrible, terrible summer league when he came into the league, and look at him now. But
right. He also had a really good college.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the exception. That's not the rule, and that's what I think most people are getting lost in. Is, oh, look, Jaylen Brown did it, so everyone's going to do it, and that's not how it works.
But that's the problem. We build this narrative to justify things, right? We build narratives and find any kind of reference point to make the argument relevant.
Exactly. There are like 435 people who played in the summer league this season, which is an astronomical number of players. And there's
a stat that we probably don't even have right now, and we could probably look it up, is how many former first round picks or early second round picks that did not make a team that are actually playing summer league as well.
Oh, tons. I mean, there's guys that shouldn't be playing. Jaime Jaquez Jr., I was just talking to Zico. He played 2 games in the summer. He averaged 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. There's no reason that guy should be playing summer. He already had a fantastic regular season. Why put him in there for 2 games against guys he shouldn't be playing with?
Sometimes I think that's actually just to see how your star
development. Yeah, I get it.
Like how he adjusts playing next to, someone when like a lot of these guys, they're drafted and they're putting these summer league games where they're the face of the summer league team, and then they come to their team and they're a nobody on the team. Sometimes teams will kind of test out how they play next to this person in that system. Kel'el Ware, playing next to Jaime Jaquez is a really good backup duo for the Heat, and I think
it's the barometer of their future.
Exactly. So it's a good way for them to kind of give them a couple games playing together so that they see how they can adjust and what they can work on going into the next season. So teams will do stuff like that, and also like there's a lot of guys who want to go play in the summer league for a couple games, get a couple runs in and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jaime asked to play a game or two, and team allowed it. So a lot of that stuff has happened too.
Yeah, I mean, you got, who's the other one? Podziemski, he played.
Yeah.
he
Is
went
it?
insane too. 9 rebounds. Yeah, how many games did he play? Where'd it go?
So here's the question. And I don't know the answer, and I maybe should know the answer. Is there an NBA rule that a second-year player has to participate in a minimum number of games in the summer league?
No.
I think they can trot out whoever they want.
Yeah.
I think it's just a certain number of years you can't play. I think that's the only rule.
Like Kevin Knox, I think he's in his like 6th season, and he played for the Warriors summer league team.
Yep,
And,
he played 4 games, averaged 17 and a half.
He's
8
playing
rebounds.
for a roster spot at this point. So,
but was he in a full season last year in the actual NBA roster?
yep.
Who was he with again?
Originally, he was with the Detroit Pistons. Then he got traded, and I think he was in Portland. And then he was on one more team as well after he was waived. He was immediately signed for another team. I can't remember who it was, honestly, but he did play the whole season. So,
and no, we've talked this long, but I want to let everyone know Miami did win the summer league, going 6-0. I don't know if everyone knows you only play 5 games in the summer league, and then the top 2 teams play each other one more. So Miami played 6 games, went 6-0. They played the Memphis Grizzlies, who ended up 5-1, and then just down from there, a bunch of teams. The Lakers finished with a winning record, went on a 3-game win streak. They finished 3-2. But yeah, so there's some players, there's some good players that stood out. I know Zico likes to go through and get to all of them, and he's got the eye for it, like you said. So
I will start with this. I think this is since you mentioned Bronny and the odds of him winning Rookie of the Year, which are just ridiculous. Or I'm sorry, the not the odds, the amount of people putting money on that he will win Rookie of the Year. Who do you guys think, from what you've seen, from what you've read at this point, who do you guys think of this batch is going to win Rookie of the Year?
ooh, hang on,
I have my eyes set on one player in particular.
I think it's going to be the same player I'm about to name. I just got to find the full name so I can say it right. Reed Shepherd.
Omar?
Well, I mean, Mike Reed Shepherd played hella well, and actually, but again, how's that going to translate with a guard heavy team in Houston and his minutes and rotations? What I was going to say is, I don't think it's going to be one of the 2 top picks. I'm going to eliminate that right there. I personally think, and this is a stretch, but it could be easily Zach from Memphis.
Zach Edey.
Zach Edey.
He played great.
He played great. He showed that he's able to play in today's game. Being the fact that Memphis can utilize him at the 5 spot with Jaren Jackson at the 4, is going to allow him the minutes, and he's going to get.
Edey's the odds leader to win the Rookie of the Year award.
So that's my he's the odds leader, but I still think because of today's game, that's why I called it a long shot. But the person, let me get back to you on the person I think it is. I'll let Zico answer his part, since I gave already one player, I think.
So the player that I was actually, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was actually really surprised he fell in the draft to where he fell. He originally was looked at as being a number 1 pick. He honestly, he has the exact same body and frame as the number 1 pick, Zachariah Rishiker, and they're both foreign players. I could not believe this guy fell, but I think it's a blessing for the team that drafted him that he did, and that is Matas Buzelis from Chicago. He absolutely dominated the summer league. He is super athletic. He could play 2, 3, 4, very long, runs the floor, can shoot. He was the best highlight reel of the summer. If you go watch his highlights, he was phenomenal.
But they don't have a team. They don't have a team to go cover him up.
You guys have to remember,
which is going to allow him to play more minutes, take on a bigger role.
But
Just
it's gonna.
like
But
just
it's
like
gonna. Well, wait a minute. Wemby's different. I'm not comparing anybody to how Wemby was. Wemby can do that because of his size. When you go out there and you have a
6'10",
dominant,
Mike.
What I'm saying is it's not going to matter because teams are going to be able to go and double him and do all these things. What sending a double at Wemby is different. The dude just puts the ball up in the air, no one's taking it.
We'll see. I'm calling
I,
it.
I, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I'm for
Yes,
it. But
he's the one guy I feel like from this draft actually has a legitimate shot to be an all-star type of player.
and let me tell you guys,
Not a superstar player, but I feel like he's the one guy who I think in this draft is, if you wanted to ask me who's a surefire all-star, he's one of them. He was one of the guys I said
So
beforehand.
he's not going to be a superstar like Brook Lopez.
That's pretty tough to reach a bar set that high, but
and then just so everyone's clear on this, Bronny James action, um, he's 250 to 1 odds, and it's increased to 300 to 1 odds. So people are going in there and betting $1,000, and that's going to return you $250,000 if he happens to win. And now it's even higher; it'll be $300,000. Whereas Edie is 600 or 6 to 1. So you bet $1,000, you only win 6,000. So that's why money's moving on Bronny, that, and who his name is, and like Zico says, how everything is laid out. Is it rigged? Is it this? Is it that? Is there a conspiracy? But I can almost guarantee you, with the amount of money that's being moved, no way they're voting Bronny, because that'd be a huge payout for sports books now.
exactly. That's the other thing I was going to mention too about that situation. And honestly, like, look, I watched the Lakers play more than any other teams. I think I watched the Lakers and then Chicago play the most. And I love Dalton Connect. Bronny had a couple of good moments. I don't Dalton Connect's the other guy who I feel like could be rookie of the year as well, honestly. I think he's gonna get to play. The reality is Lakers didn't sign anyone. They just lost Taurean Prince. He has a chance to play. He has an opportunity to be a knockdown shooter on a team that LeBron is gonna be on.
He averaged 21 points on 40, just under 42% from the field, and 39% from three. So getting some reps in at that speed, getting that practice in with those guys. If he can be that shooter, then yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they'll be rookie of the year because I just don't see that happening.
Right. I mean, he'll be up there as a candidate, I feel like, because he's going to get the opportunity to play. Like, you have to remember, and like, see, like Reed Shepherd, he's probably him and Mattis have been my two favorite players to watch, and kel'el Ware for Miami, those three. The one, like Omar mentioned it, it's like he's playing on a guard heavy team, and they just signed Fred VanVleet, to a big contract, and that's a veteran right there who's going to be playing majority of the minutes. So the reality is Reed Shepherd probably won't get the minutes to anoint him, an opportunity to be rookie of the year. So I don't see it happening.
He's going to be a better version of Austin Reeves for the Lakers because, like you mentioned, they got Fred VanVleet. They also got Jalen Green still there. So Reed Shepherd is going to play that third or fourth fiddle guard, who's going to get the same hype as Austin did in LA, but just a better player.
Personally, I really like the guy. I think that they have a future with him. It just kind of makes you kind of go back and be like, man, I wish they didn't sign Fred VanVleet so this kid gets the opportunity to play.
Did you just say he's better than Austin Reeves, or he can become better than Austin Reeves?
They're very similar players, actually, Mike. I actually think
that's fine, but I'm saying, are you saying he's better now, or he can become better?
Did I say that, or did Omar say
No,
that?
Omar. I'm asking Omar.
I said that, and yes, I'm going to say he's better because if you just compare again, we have to also see how this translates into a full season, right? Austin Reeves has been able, to be productive on the Lakers team. But at the end of the day, when you compare summer league stats, Reed Shepherd's numbers were way better than Austin.
In the summer league is what you're saying.
Yeah, in the summer league, right? So if we're going to compare progress of career progress.
Okay, so you're saying at the same point. You're not saying right now.
I think it's an argument.
Oh, okay.
Reed Shepherd is really good, Mike. He's really good.
I just picked him to win rookie of the year.
Again, I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year just because he's playing behind Fred VanVleet, who's going to get a majority of those minutes. That's the only. Like, I think if Fred wasn't on that team, dude, I'd shoot Reed up to Rookie of the Year contention. I just feel like that's going to hold him back. You always have to look at the situation of the teams that these people are going to be playing for. You know, you look at the top two picks, Zachariah Rissiker. Yeah, you're hoping that he's going to be a starting small forward for the team. I don't know if he's going to, I don't think he's NBA ready. Like watching him play, there's something about him that's a little frail to me. I think he's going to be stuck coming off the bench to start. He's probably going to hit a lot of bumps in the road. I think he'll still be a good player. I think it's going to take him a little longer to get there. Alexander Sarr, you see mass potential with him, like mass potential, but something isn't clicking. And like that's like what I said, like you never know. Like sometimes it takes the European guys a little bit of adjustment and all these things, you know, flying to the States and all that. But I don't know. I don't know if you have his numbers by any chance. You could see his field goal percentage. I think he had a game where he was 0 for 15. And I watched
Sorry,
it.
yeah, he was trash. I can't even
Yeah,
scroll as
he
far down
played
as he
against
is.
yeah, he played against Klingon of the Portland Trailblazers, and Klingon dominated him, just dominated him that game. And so, like, if Klingon, who's already going to be a really good defensive type of center in the league, is able to do that against Sar, what are the other centers going to do? You know, it's going to take him some time to adjust. And I think he'll still be a good player, but sometimes these guys need a little more time to be what they're capable of becoming. And for Zachariah, he's not going to have that opportunity because he's going to be playing on an Atlanta team with Trae Young that wants to win now. And with the Washington Wizards, you know, it kind of makes sense now that they traded for Valanciunas. I signed Valanciunas. Like they kind of saw that like this guy's going to be a little more raw than we thought. He's going to need time. We need a veteran who's going to be in there in the gym with them every day to bang with them, make them stronger, you know, get them to
And you
learn.
never know. You never know, Zico. I agree and disagree at the same time because you're bringing up some valid points here. But Valanciunas could easily have been signed as a backup big to actually help him become a pro, you know, and then at
Which
the
is
same
what I think
time,
is going to be.
so he's going to come off the bench, and you're still going to have Alex, you know, starting.
I agree with that.
However,
I
I think Alex has the earlier upside than Zach. As I mentioned in previous episodes, you know, I watched Zach play in Euro Cup, and he wasn't impressive. You know what I'm saying? For a guy that was a first round pick, we all agree this is one of the weakest drafts, but for a guy that was picked number 1 overall, he was not impressive. You know, he wasn't impressive. He didn't dominate at that level. To come and be the first round pick, you know, you put higher expectations on the guy, right? But I think Alex is played with pros, you know, played with grown men, and I think there's an adjustment. The type of game is different, like you said. For many people that don't travel across the country, jet lag is real, and it's not recovered overnight. It takes sometimes weeks, depending on where you're coming from and where you've been for the last several years. So, how much did that impact their performance? Maybe 0%, and maybe 50%. I don't know. There's no number to it, but I just think I think he's going to have a better start to his season than Zach, and then what people expect.
I think so too. I with Zach, you know, and like comparing him to Mattis, um, they have really similar frames. I think the difference between them is, dude, Mattis he's like an ass kicker. You have to love his tenacity. Mike, I don't know if you got to see his highlights. I know I sent it to you guys. I don't think you paid attention to it, but
I click on everything you send me, Zico.
I know you do. You liar. But yeah, you think everything's going to be something about Kobe Bryant, so you don't click anything at this point.
The odds are pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah, I know. Yeah, but yeah,
I have to agree with Mike. If I were to hedge my bet, it's a Kobe article.
1 out of 2 for sure.
But you know what, Zico, one thing I want to point out here, because we're mentioning guys that were drafted either later, you know what I'm saying, or some guys that weren't high draft picks. They tend to compete harder. than the higher draft picks that, you know, feel like their position is secure, right? There's a lot of guys competing for a roster spot. There's guys competing to stay, you know. But one thing I want to point out here is I want to focus on the top two picks real quick here and their performance in the summer league and how it may translate to their season. Two Frenchmen. And if we look back at the history of the French players, right, that have played in our league, a lot of them are good basketball players, talented basketball players, very high level IQ players. But name the last one that had the tenacity, you know, that some of these other players are playing with. None.
Say that one more time, Omar.
So look at all the French players that have played in the NBA over the years, right? They're they're very skilled players. They're talented. They have very high IQ. You know what I'm saying? But name the last one that actually played with some intensity or tenacity. You know what I'm saying? Like how the Klingon from Portland plays. You know, with that tenacity. There's not a French player. There's not a French player that plays with the toughness and aggressiveness as some of these other guys. And that's what you're seeing with these two first round picks. Top two picks.
I mean, I would say Nicholas Batum and Rudy Gobert do to an extent. Now they are longer and more like frail type players, so like they might not have the
but they weren't. But I don't think they were. I think I could be wrong, but both of them were older when they came to the league. At least a year or two older.
I can't remember honestly at this point. I can't remember at this point. But see, Mattis and Zach and Alex are not. And see, I liked Mattis. I thought Mattis was
I'm giving Mattis credit here. I'm
right,
saying
right. I know.
For the two Frenchmen,
right,
compared to Mattis. Mattis plays with tenacity, aggressiveness,
well, Alex Sarr did, however, he just was completely ineffective scoring the ball. That was really, I think it might have been like a mental thing. Something was just getting to him. He was not able to, hit a shot, plain and simple. So I don't know if that's like 100% reason that it's just a French situation. I think it's gonna take him some time. That's all I think it is. Like those types of players, the super long athletic type of guys, sometimes they need a little more time. Like Chet Holmgren, would he have put up these numbers if he would have played the year before and not had an injury that ended his entire season? I don't think he would have put up these same numbers. I think that year that he had in the league, being around there, getting stronger, helped him quite a bit. So, Alex,
what was that again?
Chet Holmgren.
I agree.
So Alex Sarr has a very similar body to Chet, and maybe he just needs a year to strengthen, to get a little bigger, and we'll see from there. I don't think he'll be a rookie of the year is what I'm feeling from this point, looking at him. I just think he's going to need more time. Same with Zachariah. I think Zachariah will be a good player, just it's going to need time. Whereas like Mattis, because of his physicality, to his tenacity, I feel like he could be from the get-go someone who's going to contribute. And I felt that way before too. I watched him work out with Cooper Flagg, and he's a little shorter than Cooper Flagg, but he plays with that same aggression. So I think he's going to be successful very early on.
Let's move to actual successful NBA players playing in the Olympics.
Oh, Mike, actually, we did not. I want to talk about one more guy. So we mentioned Mattis. We mentioned Dalton Connect. Dalton was actually phenomenal as well. He played really well. Considering he's the guy that had most of the attention on him for the Lakers, he played solid. But kel'el Ware of Miami, I think they got a steal. I think he was like the 17th pick in the draft. This guy is 7 foot. He's got, I think, like a 7'5" wingspan. He runs the floor. He moves his feet. He could slide on defense. And he is tenacious. He is the perfect Miami fit for this group. And for a team that has been a little small, and has played small for a long time. I think the last time they had a really big center was Hassan Whiteside. And since then they've played Bam, who's 6'9" at center, and no one taller than him since then. And now you just draft a guy who has that same body size as Hassan Whiteside, but who's more athletic and runs the floor better. So I really like that pick a lot. I think he could be another guy who contributes pretty quickly. He kind of reminds me of Derek Lively of Dallas. I think he could be the same type of player, just that rim runner, who's just super athletic and does all the dirty work. And yeah, I really like that pick. I don't know if you guys got to see any of his highlights or see him play.
I did not.
For the purpose of the podcast, Mike, maybe check next time.
Yeah, no, I saw some of the clips. Like I said, I saw highlights. I didn't see game film, right? Highlights typically end after the clip. If he gets a dunk, then it's a dunk. If he gets a block, it's a block. It's not what he does after that. It's not the transition. It's not the full game, if you will. But I've seen highlights. It's summer league. It's summer league. They're playing against guys that they should play well against, right? That's just my take.
Okay, well now we can move on to Team USA. I know you're eager to do that.
I am because we had a conversation that we ended off last time talking about weeks ago now, about who the leader of that team was, who the face of that team was, and then I know it's exhibition games, but who showed up when it mattered? Who got voted to be the flag bearer?
Who do you think the leader of that team is?
I think
Omar.
LeBron James is the leader of that team.
Omar, who do you think the leader of that team is?
Zico, way to try to set me up when you notice I was on mute for a second. You know, I'm not even going to answer that question because I want to actually rebuttal Mike on something before I answer that question. Is you mentioned, Mike, you put the biggest caveat / disclaimer in there. These are exhibition games. To me, they don't mean anything. Just like people don't want to consider beating South Sudan 101 to 100 means anything. So again, it's too early to determine that, because when it really comes down to real play, when it really matters, you're really going to see who the true leader is on that team. And that's yet to be determined, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Zico.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was going to keep talking or not. The way he struck his face, kind of like I really thought more was coming. So yeah, I was waiting. Look, if you want to say LeBron's the captain of the team because that's who they named captain of the team, sure. I don't think he's the leader of this team. I just genuinely don't. For the same reasons Omar said, I think Steph Curry is the leader of this team. I think that the team is more acceptive of Steph Curry as the leader of the team. However, being LeBron and being someone who runs so much of Nike, it's all going to be catered around LeBron. Like that's going to happen. That's like the storyline. And I know that's going to happen. The same thing happened in 08, same thing happened in 2012. Like it was all about him all the time. And I even sent you guys a story like regarding him before those Olympics and all the issues surrounding him, which we don't have to get into right now. But I just don't think he's the leader of the team. And I don't think the team feels that way. I think that's the way the media is going to portray everything. Am I surprised that he's the flag bearer? No, it's his last Olympics. Honestly, I'm actually really happy that they did that because it's his last Olympics. Regardless of whether I think LeBron's the leader or not, I've said this before, Mike. I don't hate LeBron. I'm not a LeBron hater. Like in any way, shape, or form. Like if I was on the team and I'm the best player on the team and I'm Steph Curry and I say if they ask me to do it, I'm like, no way, dude, give it to him. He earned it. Like I would say that. You know what I mean? Like that's kind
Well,
of
but the team didn't vote him.
I know. I'm just saying in general.
Okay, I was gonna say the
Like,
entire
if I was running the
Olympic,
team, like I would still want to do it. If I was running the Olympics, I would still say let LeBron do it.
but
Like you know what I'm
that's
saying?
not how it works.
I
Every
I
Olympian,
know.
okay.
I know. Believe me, I know. He would have had my vote too, is what I'm saying.
Got it.
So like that's all I'm saying. And if someone would have voted him, anyone other than him, I would have been the first one to say, "No way, man! You got to give it to him. It's his last Olympics."
Well, he's the first NBA, he's the first basketball player to ever be the flag bearer.
Right. So and he earned it. Like plain and simple, he earned it. He's one of the greatest all time. Like it's his last Olympics.
Hold on, Zeke. Mike, you're wrong. He's not the first basketball player. He's the first male basketball.
He's the first men's basketball. Yeah.
Men's. Correct that, because I was going to say you got to give credit to Don Staley.
Yeah. So yeah,
he was the first basketball player to be the bearer of the flag
For the U.S.?
Yes.
So yeah, the thing that I'm looking at with this team kind of goes back to the last episode we had. There are some roster issues with this team, and I would not be surprised if this team does not win it because of the roster issues with this team. It's no disrespect to any of the guys on the team. It's just how I feel about this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they win. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. When I hear people try and tell me that this team is better than the Redeem team or the Dream team, like my brother, I just want to like smack him upside the head, but I know it won't do any good at this point because it's just, it's that age group, and how they think and how they process. But I don't think of LeBron as the best player on this team anymore. I don't think of him as the go-to guy anymore, partly because he's old, not because he wasn't before or could have been before, just because at this point in his career, I just don't think he has that in him.
Do you know where he ranks in points per game for this team? In the exhibition games, they're exhibition games, but do you know where he ranks?
First or second. He's either first or second.
He's first.
I think it's either him, Anthony, or Steph. One of those three are top three.
He's
And
first.
Anthony
Do you know
Davis
where he
is
ranks?
fourth.
Do you know where he ranks on this team in rebounds per game?
He's either first or second.
No, he's fourth. Come on, first
Okay.
or second.
Well,
do you know
Mike,
where he ranks for assists?
Okay, first or second.
He's first. Do you know where he ranks in steals?
First or second.
He's third. Do you know where he ranks in blocks?
Third.
He's third. You're getting the hang of this. Do you know where he's
No,
at?
I completely understand that, but I'm telling you again,
field goal percentage.
This is the preseason games. Okay, hold on a second.
What about 3-point percentage?
Hold on. No, I'm going to ask you something now. What is the best team that they faced so far?
Canada.
No, it's not. Serbia is the best team that they played so far. Canada doesn't have their full roster. Not even Serbia had their full roster. Serbia is the best team that they played so far. And how did he do in that game?
I don't know. I'm looking at cumulative numbers.
He didn't do very good. You can go back and look at his numbers. He did not do very good in the first game against Serbia. So go look at the game. Look at what was the worst team that they played? Sudan. How did he do that game? How is it that he went out there and played against Wenyan Gabriel and dominated? Come on, this is like when you start talking about like who he's playing against and where his numbers are coming from. When he played against Germany, why is it that Daniel Tice absolutely destroyed him on the other end? Because he did. I watched that game. Like LeBron did score 24 points. Daniel Tice scored 22 with LeBron guarding almost the whole time. Like there's some balance to this stuff. Yeah, Mike, I watched this game. Go back and watch. Daniel Tice absolutely destroyed LeBron. Every time LeBron was guarding him, he just attacked the paint and posted him up and had little tip-in rebounds and out-rebounding and all that stuff. So I'm just telling you, like, you've got to balance some of this stuff. When you're playing a lesser team, of course, his numbers are going to go up. When he's playing a better team, why was it that Steph Curry
How come for them? Everybody else's numbers didn't go up. I'm just saying over the 5 games, and you're talking about 2 games.
Because everybody's numbers are not going to go up when LeBron James plays the type of basketball that he plays and he holds onto the ball. I think I've watched more of these games than any of you guys have. The style of basketball that he plays is something Omar and I have talked about over and over again. His per is like, excuse me, his the amount of possessions he has per game is like through the roof. No one comes close to what he does on the court in terms of him holding the ball, which isn't always a bad thing. I actually like the combination of LeBron and Steph together because LeBron is usually looking for Steph. However, sometimes it affects other people's stats, other people's numbers, other people's accolades, if you will. So that's an issue you're going to see with LeBron on the team. Why do you think Embiid made the comment that he made?
I didn't see Embiid's comment, but Embiid shouldn't be on this team.
Well, Embiid had a certain something to say about the older players on this team and them. I can't remember the exact words of it. I don't want to misquote.
I'm looking it up.
Please look it up. But it had to do. It was directly towards LeBron. It was directly towards LeBron because of the way that LeBron plays.
He said the talent that's on the US team, you also got to understand most of these guys are older. The LeBron now is not the LeBron that was a couple years ago, so it's a big difference. But I don't have the question in front of me.
There was more to that quote. So there's
No, I'm trying to find it.
yeah, there was more to that quote. But yeah, like there's all this stuff, there's context to it if you look into it. And it's like when I've said about like LeBron, like in terms of his greatness. LeBron could have played in any era. Like I don't doubt that. However, I think that if LeBron had played in the 2000s and the 90s, I don't think his numbers would be what they are. I don't think he would have scored as much or gotten as many assists or gotten as many rebounds in a slower paced offense, with bigger teams, with bigger centers sitting in the paint, not wide open paint for him to just attack the basket. Like those are things that like that's context to his numbers, and that couldn't go for anybody. However, he still would have been one of the greatest players of all time. So, like, I'm not holding anything against him saying that. This is the same thing. You're watching him play against one of the weaker teams, and he goes off, scores big numbers, and you look at it and say, "Oh, look what he's doing." Again, what happened against Serbia? What happened against Canada? His numbers weren't that great. It was what I expected them to be. I think it was like 10 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. That's what I'm expecting LeBron to do in the Olympics, especially with this team. So it's not a knock. I'm not knocking him. I'm just reality. I don't think when it comes push comes to shove and we get closer to the end of this, I think you'll start thinking about it.
I think we'll see. I mean, the exhibition games, I'm not watching those beginning to end. Like I said, I'm not going out of my way to find a TV for that. But the real games that start, I think their first game Saturday. I'll be watching those. And
who do they play first?
I don't know. They just released the schedule. Hang on, let me get it. Good thing we didn't lose Omar here.
Yeah.
They play game 1 for them. They play Serbia on Sunday.
So that's game 1.
That's game 1, Sunday, July 28th.
Which I'm not too worried about their pool play here. You know what I'm saying? Because we know in Olympics, the top 2 teams advance, right? So really, even if they lost to Serbia, I'm not going to,
Do we really think they're going to come out with a loss to start?
Again, I'm not sold that this team is going to dominate the way everybody keeps talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I just don't feel like they're going to dominate the way people think they are. I don't think.
But in all
the
fairness,
game against Sudan showed that.
Well, in all fairness, this is why I said I'm not too concerned about pool play because it only matters when it's an elimination round. Pool play for the U.S. especially U.S. Mike, remind all the listeners who's in their pool again. It was Serbia.
So I'll give you their whole thing. So they have Serbia on Sunday, and then they have They play South Sudan on Wednesday, and then they have Puerto Rico the following Saturday.
So South Sudan, I think after the last game, they're not going to underestimate them, and I think America is going to send a message against South Sudan. I don't think it's going to be that close. Puerto Rico is not going to be a threat, even though we know in the past, there's been some upsets made by Puerto Rico and some of the South America teams. So I at worst, I think see them going 2-1, if not 3-0 in the pool play. It's the elimination round that I'm more interested in seeing how they how they perform.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be 3-0 in pool play, like you said.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him lose to Serbia. I really wouldn't.
But Zico, you know, Mike is very patriotic. You know, he's going to support Team USA no matter who you put on that team.
Well, I did, but
I
again,
am
at
too.
the end of the day, they're a load. They have a loaded roster. I think on paper, like you said, those guys haven't necessarily played with each other as much as these international teams have. But from top to bottom, they are better skilled players, right? I don't think anyone's debating that on paper that are the most talented basketball roster in the Olympics.
I wouldn't say skilled. I would say
Yeah, I would say
definitely more
better
athletic.
maybe better scorers.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
saying, well, top to bottom, you don't think they're more skilled as far as I'm talking about from the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster. They're a very skilled group of basketball players.
but you're discrediting other teams that have very
I'm
skilled
I'm
high
I'm
IQ players.
I'm not at all. I'm not discrediting them. I'm not saying they're bad because the U.S. team is good. I'm saying the U.S. team they've got the Kevin Durant's who is skilled. He has everything you could want. Steph Curry is skilled. Now he's lighter on the defensive side. He knows how to do it, but it's not necessarily there. But you have AD who can play both ends of the court. You have the Bam Adebayos who can play both ends of the court. These are
Yeah, but how
skilled
much of
players.
that? How much of that is athleticism versus skill? Like AD and Bam, especially, like you're gonna look at them and you're gonna be like, oh, I mean, even KD and LeBron, like that. How much of that is take their athleticism away? Where are they?
I think
Like,
LeBron's lost a lot of his athleticism and is still
he's still
very
physically
effective.
dominant. He's still physically dominant. I agree with that. But my point, Mike, and I think Omar understands this, is being around European basketball as much as I have. I'm telling you, those players are more skilled.
I think they're more fundamentally sound.
Right. Well,
I don't think they're necessarily more skilled.
Well, what's your definition of skilled, Mike? Here,
because skilled is fundamentally sound.
You can be fundamentally sound and be skilled, and you can be skilled and not fundamentally sound. Kyrie Irving doesn't play fundamentally, but he is one of the most, if not the most skilled player. But he doesn't. He makes moves he doesn't need to do. He does things that he doesn't. You don't need to attack the paint and go up and under and do all of this. That's not the most fundamental. But that's not the most fundamental play. That's not the most fundamental play. Going through double teams is not.
So he's not.
So hold on. So what's LeBron skilled at?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great.
I'm not saying LeBron is the most skilled player to ever play basketball. By no means am I saying he is that. That has never come out of my mouth.
Right, but what we're trying to say is that
what's Joel Embiid skilled at?
I just said Joel Embiid shouldn't be on the team.
I heard.
But Joel Embiid is the 12th guy on the roster, is more skilled than any other player, any other team's 12th man. I'm saying top to bottom, guys. I'm not saying that all 12 people on the roster are more skilled.
You put Derek White over Joel Embiid. I just want to make that clear.
As far as skill, yes, because now you're talking about size. And one thing you can't go back is you cannot teach size. Like Shaq. Shaq has phenomenal footwork, but I wouldn't say Shaq is a skilled basketball player.
Shaq was a dominant basketball player. I'll give you that.
Exactly. That's how Embiid plays.
So I'm going to leave Joel Embiid alone here, right? But what is Halliburton skilled at? And let me make this. I'm not knocking any of these players because I think they're professionals. They're good at what they do. But when we start talking about the term skill, what is Halliburton skilled at?
Again, you're missing one. He is a skilled basketball player compared to the 10th man on any other Olympic roster. I'm not saying
like the European point guards for Serbia and Montenegro.
Okay,
like he does.
And the top five Serbians might be more skilled than the top 6 U.S. team. But 7 through 12 isn't. That's what I'm saying. Top to bottom, guys. I'm not saying everybody on the roster.
Mike, we all played on enough teams. Nobody plays 12 men.
But
Right,
that's not.
no,
But see, but that's not what I'm
that's not
saying, Omar.
no,
I'm
but
saying
Mike,
on
listen,
paper,
but
top to bottom.
you're
Look,
look,
no,
if
no,
you want
no.
to say
You guys aren't
listen,
listening.
I think I'm gonna make this easier. If you want to say that like the 12th man of the Team USA is better than the 12th man of Serbia or any of the other teams, I'll agree with you. But
That's
like,
all I'm saying.
okay, but to say that they're more skilled, like we're not agreeing with you for that.
What
We're
I'm
gonna
saying
say
is
that the
top to
12th
bottom.
man, like
Top to
12th, no,
bottom.
hold on, the 12th man, like we'll go even 10, 11, 12. So like Embiid, White, and then whoever else you want to have is like that last guy on that team. They're
Who is that? Who is that last guy? Who's the ninth? Who's the 10th man?
I don't know. Let me pull
I
up the
want to
roster.
see Booker, but I don't
But
think
Booker right now is inserted into the starting lineup.
yeah, I can't understand that, to be honest
So
with you.
so
But what I'm
so
saying is, if you take the best player on
no,
each
hold on,
roster,
Mike,
No,
Mike.
but
Who do
look,
you
Mike,
think?
what I'm
Who do you
saying
think
is
is
like,
number 10?
I'm,
Who do
I'm
you think?
looking. I'm looking. You have to relax.
Well, I was stopping Zico from going to a different topic, not you, Mike.
I
So
wasn't
if you
going
got,
to
he's not going. It's either Booker or Drew Holiday.
yeah, I feel like, well, I mean, yeah, it could be Drew too, because Booker is a little more skilled than Drew Holiday.
But Drew's a better defender than
Right.
half the team.
Right. So
Oh.
anyway, but look, all I'm saying, Mike, is we will agree with you from the standpoint if you want to say these players are better. Yes, their athleticism, their power, overall, everything, defense and everything, they're better. However, what we're saying is if you want to say skills, we look at skills and fundamentals as being the same thing. We feel like number 10, 11, 12 on these other teams are going to be more skilled and more fundamental because they teach it way differently over there. That's all we're saying.
I'm telling you,
But that's how the game is also played over there.
if you line up each roster and say, okay, put them in order 1 through 12, and then you match them up on the other side with the way the US is 1 through 12. I'm not saying every team, every player will be better. I'm saying majority of the team on US will be more skilled top to bottom. No, more skilled. They'll be able to do more things in a basketball game at a higher level.
Because
Well,
they're more
I got a better way for you to introduce your argument. If every team in the Olympics had their top 6 guys foul out, Team USA would dominate.
Sure. Yes. On paper, top to bottom.
That's really what Mike's trying to say.
I'm just saying, top to bottom on paper, they have a better roster. They have more
better
skilled
roster, yes.
players. They have
Agree
more
with better
skilled
roster.
players.
They have better players overall.
But you keep going back to more skilled players.
He's skilled.
They're
I'm
better
saying they have
players,
more.
yes.
They have more skill.
I asked you, what skill does Tyrese have?
If you put Tyrese Halliburton, didn't he win the skills challenge in the All-Star event?
Mike,
That's literally dribbling,
you
passing,
almost
and
won the
shooting.
skills challenge in our OCBL league. So what are we talking about?
I've never even participated in that because I don't want to run that much. So
what is an All-Star event really talk about skill that you can make a pass and dribble through cones? And
that's a skill. Dribbling, passing, and shooting. Those are the skills of offense.
Right. And dribbling, passing, and shooting, aside from like Kyrie and Steph, I'm telling you, the rest of the world is really, really skilled at, and I think to an extent more so than American players.
And I'm going to, on a whole, if you go across the country, sure. But if you're talking the 12 people that they put on these rosters, you guys are crazy.
You know what? Let's get past the whole skill and better and all that fundamental talk.
Everybody, somebody please comment on this. Leave a comment and tell me what you think.
Yeah, please,
and like and subscribe when you do it too.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
like and subscribe. But leave a comment.
Is anyone on Team USA more skilled than Jokic?
As far as overall, everything top to bottom,
skilled.
No,
whatever your definition. Okay,
no,
so Jokic is the most skilled.
I think there's maybe 3 players in the NBA that are more skilled than him. Maybe.
Okay. Who?
I think Kyrie.
Okay, he's not on the team. Okay.
I think maybe Luka.
And he's not on the team.
And I think Wemby has the potential to get there.
Okay.
And he's not on the team. Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. You guys, we're saying the same thing. You just fundamentally disagree with me.
No, I'm not.
We technically disagree with you, not fundamentally.
What I'm trying to say though is, Mike, see, Jokic, his entire team went through the exact same training regimen as Jokic did since they were like 5. Okay.
Okay.
Everything that Jokic does, they can all do. Now, those guys,
No, they
no,
can't.
no. Those guys are not 7 foot, 280 pounds. Like there's a little difference in terms of the way they play. The other thing,
I think they like Zico's right. They go through this whole training and fundamental training and everything. And Jokic is just a notch higher than all of he's above all of them, but they all have reached a certain level of fundamental skill that America fails to teach. Let's
because
just
of
start there.
AAU basketball, because of AAU
And the
basketball.
grassroots basketballs. But Mike, the key difference again, everything we're saying right now could be shut up once America dominates this Olympic tournament and they win gold, and then we can look back at it and laugh about it because at the end of the day, neither you, Mike, neither you, Zico, or me are going to lose money or make money on whatever happens with Team USA. Right? This is a podcast where we're sharing our thoughts and our opinion based on our knowledge and our history and our upbringing in this game. At the end of the day, whether you want to, we're going to go away from the skill and the fundamental. One of the biggest issues that Team USA has, in my opinion, and has always been a problem, is chemistry. Because you bring you bring these superstars together on such a short notice to kind of gel just in time to beat and dominate against teams who have had almost the same national team roster for the last several years, who are constantly competing. See, Team USA doesn't even use the same players to qualify.
I completely agree with the chemistry. I 100% agree with that.
Because the qualification rounds for Team USA are a walk in the park because of who they have to play in the region. Versus in Europe, and Zico can attest to this, is Serbia is going to have to go through other teams that can potentially be in that spot.
Yeah, Luka's not playing in the Olympics.
Yeah,
but not just
and then
not just Luka.
Keep that in mind. The Serbia plays against Croatia and Montenegro and Bosnia, which all used to be one country, and
so the players are split.
I understand all of that, and that's why that just leads more to my point that top to bottom, they're not as skilled.
They're not as talented, sure, not skilled,
not as athletic, sure.
Yeah. You guys
have the God-given, attributes that
at the end of the day, Mike, it's going to be very interesting. And let's just have a friendly wager here. You think Team USA is going to go completely undefeated, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'll lose.
Okay.
Do you think they'll lose against France if they play them, Mike? Because I think that's the most interesting game we get to see.
I think that the way US is built and what is there and what has been said and all of everything that's in there, and LeBron's last one and Durant's last one and Steph's last one and Anthony Edwards saying he's the guy. I think that for all of those purposes, these guys are going to go a lot harder than maybe they have in the past. And I just think they're going to win. Now, are they going to dominate and win every game by 20, 30 points? No, they're not the dream team. They're not the redeem team. They're not the dream team too. I wouldn't compare any of these guys to that level of dominant because other countries have caught up and other countries are good and other countries are putting players in that are NBA level, and some of them that aren't in the NBA are still NBA level and would still play very well in the NBA. They just don't want to be here. I'm not taking that away from any of these countries, but I
thank you for adding to our argument. What you just said basically supports the fact that Team USA has a chance of losing to some of these teams because they are not as dominant as the previous teams in these competitions.
Absolutely, they have a chance to lose. Absolutely, they
but
could
you
not.
Said
they might not. No, because I don't think they will. But am I going to be shocked if they don't?
Would you be surprised if they lost? Would you be surprised if they lost?
Depends who they lose to. Okay, no, there are teams. There are teams that are capable of beating them. But if they didn't make it out of pool play,
who are the three teams you think they may lose to?
We've already talked about it. Serbia is probably one of the better teams that has a chance. I think that Canada full roster has a chance. and France full roster has a chance, but France in the end will choke because Gobert, well, rules are different in FIBA play, so Gobert's a little more helpful because
And
he
that's
can knock the ball off the rim. But what I'm
well,
saying
not
is,
not just that. It's also the fact that you don't have a defensive three in the key.
yeah, there's lots of things that play to
So you're
Gobert's
gonna
strength in
outside
FIBA
outside
basketball.
outside of Anthony Edwards, and I would probably put, you know, Steph Steph at to some extent, and KD. If teams are sitting in a zone, you know what I'm saying? How many of those players can actually break down a zone? And
That's crazy to think that these guys don't know how to beat a zone
we're
defense.
not.
I
No, no,
mean,
no. I said break down a zone. I didn't say beat a zone defense, because when you have shooters, you can break. I'm talking about break down
I
a
think all
zone.
of these players can individually break down a zone, get teams to collapse, and then pass out and hit shooters. You guys didn't let me finish going through the stats, but LeBron James is shooting 46% from three. Yeah, exhibition games, great. AD's shooting 50% on only a couple attempts. Steph Curry's still shooting. These guys are shooting high percentages. Remember, the line's a little closer, so it's an easier shot for them to shoot.
It's a mid range.
They can get more aggressive. That's a little more physical, which I think some of these guys will shy away from because they're not used to. So I think that's more of a European benefit. But at the end of the day, these guys have been playing basketball their whole lives, and they are 12 of the best players in the NBA. Maybe not Derek White. He's probably further down and just kind of fits that chemistry, role player, glue guy type thing. But if you're sitting here telling me that these guys can't break down a zone, that's crazy.
And I didn't. And that's the part. This is where we talk about skill and fundamental, right? We're not talking about breaking down a zone through an offense or a set that's put in with a, ball swinging, high low cut, whatever. We're talking about being able to penetrate and break down the defense and create for others. In Europe, there's a lot of guards that are capable of doing that, and the ball moves differently.
Again, if you don't think for 1 minute that LeBron can create an open shot for Steph Curry, or Steph Curry can do the same,
LeBron has the worst handles on the team. LeBron has the worst footwork on that team.
just because he doesn't dribble fancy, LeBron doesn't lose the ball when he dribbles like that. LeBron loses the ball when he's
Oh my
trying to
God,
make
Mike.
passes. I mean, what you're
Seriously?
saying,
LeBron has never lost the ball dribbling.
where do you come up with never? Of course, he plays basketball. He's going to get the ball stolen. Omar,
I love you love to twist the narrative, and you're so slick and smart enough to try to throw these little things in. Oh, who said never? Oh, LeBron has never, the ball's been stolen. LeBron does not have the handles at 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", whatever it is, to drive and kick. Come on, not in a European zone.
You're telling me that LeBron James can't drive into the lane and pass the ball?
Not in a European zone.
But what he's
Go
saying,
ahead,
it's actually going to
Zico.
be, what he's saying is going to be a little harder. I think he still will be able to. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. I think he will. My only thing is, and I've said this about LeBron, and there are stats to back this. One of the things that LeBron struggles with is when there are bigger, more physical shot blocking type of bigs in the paint. LeBron tends to not attack as much. And the reality is you're going to be going up against teams that are a lot bigger than most NBA teams. Like every European team has multiple big men on the roster. So my worry is that LeBron's going to be in a situation where he sees the size inside, doesn't attack as much, and settles, which I've seen him do quite a bit when there's bigs. Look at the series with Denver, right?
And I'm going to go ahead and
Jokic
say right now that just because he can do it, he's not going to be the guy going in and breaking down and
Right,
creating. He's
right.
going to be a shooter. He's shooting the highest percentage of three. It's going to be the Devin Bookers, the Anthony Edwards. It's going to be Steph Curry passing and relocating. But if they're playing a zone, these teams are going to get blitzed playing a zone.
I think if they play a zone, I think it's gonna be other teams that are gonna blitz them. I mean, other players that are gonna be the ones blitzing them. So I don't think they're going to have too many issues with the zone. I don't think that'll be the issue. I think if an issue comes down to it, it's going to be you have an off night where you weren't attacking appropriately, the size bothered you, and the other team played more physical. I think that's what's going to beat the US.
But that's where you have your
they
youth.
lose.
That's where you have your youth. That's where you have your Anthony Edwards, your Bookers,
No,
your Bam
no, Mike,
Adebayos.
the physicality is where I think there might be an issue. Like
Are we really
strength,
talking about the
physically.
same Booker that complained about being double teamed in summer runs?
It's different when you're playing for something. You know this, Omar.
I agree, Mike. Again, I like the youth. I thought there should have been more youth on this team to build with. However, I just think that the physicality could be an issue for this team. You know, that's it. That's whether you like Embiid on this team or not, they put him on this team to have some physicality to bang back against some of these other bigs. So
I know why he's there.
yeah,
And
like that's
listen,
literally
you
it. Like
can't put him.
Bam, as much as I love Bam, he's small. He cannot guard Jokic. Jokic, I mean, I'm sorry, Bam and AD together bothered Jokic. However, one of them on the court without the other, I think Jokic destroys them.
Like, personally, I don't think LeBron and Embiid should ever be on the court at the same time. I think they slow down the game too much for where they're at as an age. I think both of them individually with the right team around them are going to do great. But if Embiid's on the floor, I wouldn't sub in LeBron unless I'm subbing him in for Embiid.
What time is the game on Sunday, Mike?
I think it's early.
Uh, it's early because I might
9 a.m.
have
or
to
something
be.
like that.
Hang on, I'll get it up.
I personally, I think the team should be starting Bam, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Drew Holiday, and Steph.
8:15 a.m.
There you go.
So
You know, it would have been nice if we would have had our in-person podcast while the game was going on live.
hey, if for some reason the boys tournament games on Sunday are later in the afternoon, I could meet up early. I can forego playing in the morning and meeting up and watching the game. And then looking at you guys saying, see. That would be a great time.
We'll see. We'll see. Real games are starting, and I'm sure LeBron can't wait for that Sudan and Puerto Rico game so he can pad his stats. So
I love it.
You know what? Once again, like and subscribe so that this way we can hear your thoughts on whether it's Mike's outrageous thoughts or my outrageous thoughts or Zico's outrageous thoughts. But we like to hear from our fans.
I want to see some comments. Somebody comment on a video.
Mike, the only time people comment is when we have
Is in your
episodes
Instagram. I know.
No, actually, the only time people comment is when we have episodes where we talk more Kobe and top 10. Like they actually love that stuff more than anything. It is
Mike, I'm with you. Mike, I'm with you. There's more to basketball than Kobe, and I'm a Kobe fan.
No. I don't mean it like that. As in, like it's one of the most controversial topics that people actually get engaged with the most. So I'm not even referring to it like that. It's only controversial because of Mike at this point. Like people.
I got you, Zico.
So,
but I'm actually taking a jab at all our listeners and all people that think they know basketball. There's more to talk about basketball. There's more controversial topics in basketball beyond Kobe.
No, it's not just Kobe. It's the top 10 in general.
No, I got you.
But but nobody's commenting on the videos. They're sending you comments. I want somebody to leave a comment on YouTube.
Yeah, we should get some comments on YouTube.
Or Zico, I think you should start screenshotting people's comments, and if you want to hide their name, they want to be anonymous. And let's see what people think, what other people are saying, and let's get some traffic that way.
I think I've done a couple like that from the Instagram where
you've done a few early on, but I'm going through these old videos now. There are no comments. Just somebody leave a comment. Just leave a comment. Somebody leave a comment. Dino, leave a comment.
Honestly, I mentioned this multiple times. We're getting a lot more hits on Apple Music than we are. I mean, yeah, Apple Podcasts than we are on YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you, you don't like looking at us. That's all it is.
And that's the reason why
I don't know if the in-person will do better or worse for us. So we'll see.
Us is strong.
Which is why I realized there was no point if I, take this podcast from the car, or if I, on a treadmill
Or
or
without
eating
any
dinner
pants on.
or whatever, any pants on, that who cares? Bottom line is, as long as you're listening and liking and subscribing and commenting, we'll be happy.
I love
Yeah,
taking
just
my
like and
job.
subscribe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
right. Omar wanted to do something.
Okay, let's end the episode there, and we'll move forward next week with our next episode with the rest of Team USA and how things are going.
Maybe we might film one live Sunday morning. We'll see.
We'll see soon enough. All right, guys. Thank you guys
Good
so
night,
much.
everybody.
Have a good night, guys.